Hi, you guys. It's Yaz, and today I'm going to talk about reactive abuse. This is a very important thing for you guys to understand, is when a narcissist is trying to provoke you to cause reactive abuse. Let's talk about, firstly, what exactly is reactive abuse? Well, reactive abuse, to put shortly, is when the narcissist does something, they're abusing you in some sort of way, and it triggers you to react, and then you look like the crazy one, okay? So their abuse is causing you to have reactive abuse, and that reactive abuse is what the narcissist uses against you. They do it on purpose. Covert narcissists love reactive abuse. They love to provoke you and cause reactive abuse. Now I'm going to get into how the narcissist provokes you to cause that reactive abuse. There's many different ways that a narcissist can trigger reactive abuse in you. Number one, they gaslight you. Let's say you ask the narcissist something about, where were you last night? And they say to you, what are you talking about? Where was I last night? Or they give you a word salad. They start to gaslight you or say something like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's going to anger you. That's going to anger you because they're playing mind games with you. They're not answering the question. They're gaslighting you. They're going to say, oh, why you keep questioning me? You're so insecure. Here's the gaslighting. Now they're going to try to put the onus on you and make you look like you have a problem. What are they doing? They're gaslighting. They may call you crazy. This is how the narcissist provokes you and triggers that reactive abuse in you. You are controlling. That's another gaslighting term. They love to call you controlling when they're the ones that need to control everything. But you're saying to yourself, I'm not controlling. I'm just asking a simple question. And now all of a sudden they're putting it back on me. They're making me sit there and defend my mental state. Oh, you need to talk to somebody about your insecurity. Or why do you need to always ask questions? Or they say something to you like, oh, I don't even know what I did yesterday. All of this is gaslighting. This is going to anger you because you're going to get frustrated. You're not getting answers. The narcissist is dodging answering the question. So they're gaslighting you. And that's going to cause you to maybe yell, scream, get angry. What's another way how narcissists create reactive abuse? By blatantly lie. A lot of narcissists will blatantly lie to you, and they know that you know they're lying, but they don't care. They'll still hold true to the lie. It's like when a narcissist lies to you and say, let's say you have the evidence that the narcissist has cheated, okay? They'll come back and they may say, I didn't cheat on you. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't cheat on you. And meanwhile, you may have a picture of them together, or somebody may have told you they were cheating and you have evidence of that, and they'll still blatantly lie. Something like that will cause reactive abuse in you, where you will go crazy saying, what are you talking about? I have the evidence here. Now you start yelling and screaming. And what does that narcissist want to do? They love to pull out their cameras and record you. This is what they love to do. They love to pull out their cameras and record you and make you look like you're a lunatic. You're a nut. Look at how you're acting, okay? And once they do something like that, they record that, then what they'll do is they'll put it on social media, or they'll show your family, show other people, and they'll say, look at what I'm dealing with. Look, she's got an anger issue, or he's got an anger issue. They're unhinged. Look at the person I'm in a relationship with. They're unhinged, but they're not showing the whole scenario. And this is what narcissists will always do, especially a covert narcissist. They'll show you part of a story, not the whole story. But to outsiders, they're only seeing a little bit of what went on. And they're going to think that there's something wrong with you because you're yelling, you're screaming, you're cursing, you're telling the narcissist off. And they're not telling the whole story, that they're the ones that actually caused the abuse, and that you are really justified in reacting. See, this is what people don't realize. When reactive abuse happens, you are justified for your reaction. Like if a narcissist does you dirty and you tell them off, technically you're justified in telling them off because this person did you dirty, right? But that reaction is feeding the narcissist, okay? So as much as you want to tell them off, give it to them, it's best to not give them any attention. You ignore them. You don't let them sit there and get you angry. Even by them getting you angry is feeding the narcissist. You don't want to give them that kind of satisfaction that you care. When you start getting angry, you start yelling and screaming, you're showing the narcissist that they care, that they matter. The best thing to do is to disengage and be like, I'm done here. That's like telling the narcissist, you know what, you're playing mind games with me. I'm not going to engage in this. I'm done. And you just walk away, okay? Because now the narcissist is not getting fed anymore. Now they see that you're not going to engage in their games, their mind games. You have your power. You walk away, okay? What's another way how narcissists create reactive abuse? They may have, and I've seen this, covert narcissists love to gossip, love to smear you behind your back. And then what they do is they're very friendly to you, okay? They'll be very friendly to you, especially in front of other people. And here you are, people have come to you and told you how that covert narcissist was talking badly about you behind your back. And now they're being fake, phony, and trying to be real nice to you. Hi, how are you? Oh, hi, I missed you. And everything like that. Meanwhile, you're hearing all of these, things, these rumors that people are coming back and telling you how they're bad-mouthing you, and you're saying to yourself, what a hypocrite they are. They're sitting there ripping me up behind my back, and here they are now trying to be nice to me like they're my best friend, okay? This is typical of what a covert narcissist does. They're fake, they're phony, they smile to your face, and they stab you behind your back, all right? And this will get you angry because you're starting to see that they're a fake and a phony, and that will cause reactive abuse where you may start yelling and screaming and being like, oh, why are you being so nice? I heard you said this about me. I heard you said that about me. And what's that covert narcissist going to do? They're going to gaslight you. They're going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything like that. I don't know what you're talking about. You're paranoid. That's all in your head. You really need to go talk to somebody. You've got mental issues. Covert narcissists love to say you have mental issues. It's a form of gaslighting. And that too, my friends, will cause reactive abuse. They love to use the mental card and say, you have, mental issues. Anytime you try to have them be held accountable, all of a sudden you're going to hear you have mental issues. No, you don't have mental issues. No, you're not crazy. You're dealing with a narcissist that's twisting and gaslighting you and causing reactive abuse because they're playing you for a jerk. That's what they're doing. Or they're trying to make you look like a jerk in front of other people. Because again, they're trying to provoke you. And what they'll do is, another way they try to create reactive abuse is to play dumb. Okay? Again, covert narcissists do this all the time. And they'll say things like I said before, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Or they say, I honestly don't know what you're talking about. The minute they use honestly, and you're dealing with a narcissist, they are lying to you, okay? And I did an earlier reel years ago about that, talking about how narcissists, when they use honestly, they're about to lie to you. And that, of course, got copied almost word for word, okay? So by you-know-who. But how do I know that? Because I went through that with somebody very close to me, all right? And that's how I know, because we were feuding and, I brought up the issue. I said, I really want to resolve this issue with you. And that person gaslit me and said, I honestly don't know what you're talking about. Complete lie, gaslighting. And what will that do? That will cause somebody to react, all right? That will cause somebody to react. So this is what they love to do. They love to play dumb, and that they know what you're talking about because you bring it up all the time. They know exactly what you're talking about, but they're going to try to gaslight and play dumb. And that is going to frustrate you. That is going to anger you. And that may get you to pop off and go off on that narcissist and cause reactive abuse where, again, you're yelling, you're screaming, you're telling them, what do you mean you don't know? We talked about this all the time. What do you mean? See, don't ever do that. Because the narcissist knows. They know what the issue is when they play dumb. You don't have to sit there and go back and forth and try to prove something. They already know what it is. You just have to be like, we're done here. Go play your games with someone else. I'm out. And you disengage. You disengage. Or you just look at them like you're looking right through them and you walk away. That's showing them that they're nothing. You see right exactly what they're doing. And, you got their number and you walk away. Okay? Next thing of how a narcissist will cause or provoke you to cause reactive abuse. They will never, ever validate you. Never validate you. And especially when you're speaking the truth. Again, especially covert narcissists, they hate to validate people, okay? They don't want to give anybody credit. They don't want to give anybody kudos, all right? So instead, like, let's say you tell them about an achievement. You've gotten a raise or you got an award. You're lucky if you say, oh, that's nice, and then they change the subject. Or they'll say something like, oh, yeah, I'm getting a raise too. Now, all of a sudden, the conversation is diverted back to them. They're not giving you validation. They're not saying, that's a great job. You really deserve it. You worked really hard or anything. They're not saying any of that. They're not validating you at all. They don't want to give you that validation because validation gives you power. So they never want you to feel that they don't want to build you up. They want to tear you down, and they always want to feel superior. And you see this a lot with narcissistic parents. A lot of times, a narcissistic parent will not validate, and especially will not validate the scapegoat. And that could cause a scapegoat to react and cause reactive abuse because they're trying to get that validation from that narcissistic parent, and they're just not getting it. The parent is not acknowledging the good things that this person has done, and they always feel invalidated by the parent, and that's why a lot of times they could react. They could react, and then what they do is, like the narcissistic parent will go to everybody else in the family and say, look at how they're getting, oh, they have anger issues. Oh, all of a sudden they're getting angry, for no reason or something. It's because you're frustrated. You're trying to get that validation from that person, that parent who's supposed to love you, supposed to nurture you, and you're not getting it from them, okay? And on top of that, they're triangulating with other family members or other people and making you feel insignificant, unimportant, that nothing you do is good enough, okay? So that could cause you to react and start getting angry and be like, well, why aren't you saying anything, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be like, what do you mean? Why are you getting like this? I'm busy. I'm doing something. Look at how you're getting. Okay. Or you may answer them back loud or snippy because you're frustrated. You're frustrated because this person's not giving you validation. It happens in marriages, relationships as well, where you're looking for some kind of somebody to say, yeah, no, you're right. Or, yeah, you did a good job or something. And they refuse to do it. They refuse to give you any kind of validation. And it causes a lot of people to react, where they're sitting there and they say, well, you never ever say I did a good job. You never this, that. And they'll say, oh my gosh, you're so sensitive. You're so sensitive. And that's going to get you even more angry, okay? Because you're not asking for a lot. You're just asking to be noticed. That's all you are. You're asking to be noticed. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? That doesn't make you a sensitive person. It makes you a person that wants to feel loved and cared about. And they don't do that. Instead, you feel distant. You feel alienated. You feel alone. You feel unloved, okay? And that's going to make you angry, all right? And again, They want you always thirsty for their validation, and that's why people may be back and forth arguing, and they may start reacting. But the thing is, you guys, when you start reacting, you're giving away your power. See, if somebody doesn't want to validate you, then you just turn your back and walk away, okay? You don't ask somebody to, you don't beg anybody. They want you to beg, especially covert narcissists. They want you to beg for attention, affection, validation. This is what they want. So by you just saying, you know what, I don't need them to validate them. I validate me. I validate myself, okay? And I got to that point with somebody in my family where, he was trying to put me down or something. And he said, oh, you think, you know about this, or you're smart about that. And I said, you know what? Yeah, I do know about that. I do know about that. And I said to myself, I don't need you validating me. I validate myself. Okay. But what he wanted to do was tear me down. He didn't want me to feel good about myself for doing well or something like that. He wanted to invalidate me. And that, you can't be triggered by that where you're yelling and screaming. You have to just turn your back and walk away and say, I'm dealing with toxic. Not today, Satan. Okay, I already know I'm not going to get validation from you. Let me walk the other way. Okay, I'm dealing with toxic. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to feed the narcissist. Okay, that's what he wanted. He wanted me to yell, scream, start defending myself, this and that. No, not today, Satan, because you're not worth my time. You're toxic. You're a narcissist. Narcissist equals liar, okay? Liar, manipulator, deceiver. So I don't have to prove myself to somebody like that, and I don't even have to fight with somebody like that. Okay, you don't have to fight with the narcissist and prove yourself. That's why they always say, don't defend yourself to the narcissist. You lose your power when you do that, okay? Because it's showing that you care what that narcissist thinks. We don't care what a dirty, grimy, lying, cheating narcissist thinks. We don't care, okay? We don't need their validation because we validate ourselves, all right? But this is what they're going to do to try to provoke you, not validate you, all right? And now, another one, classic of the covert narcissist, way to provoke you for reactive abuse. Nobody's more sarcastic than a shady covert narcissist that wants to trigger you and cause reactive abuse. And what they'll do is they'll make a sarcastic remark, okay, about anything, about how you look, about how you dress, how you talk, about what you do. They're going to make some little snide, wise-ass remark. And what's that going to do? That's going to provoke you unless you're in control and not today, Satan. I'm dealing with a covert narcissist who's trying to trigger me. So you have to just totally turn your back and walk away. And what they'll say is if you say anything to them like, why'd you make that remark? That's not funny. They try to mask their little jabs of sarcasm by saying, oh, that's just a joke. Oh my gosh, look at how you're getting. That's just a joke. If you feel a certain way, that is not just a joke. What that is a jab. And that's what covert narcissists do. They give you jabs, and they just gave you a jab, and now they're gaslighting, trying to say, oh, that was just a joke. No, it wasn't a joke, because I feel a certain way about myself. And you knew that I was going to feel a certain way about myself, and you were trying to provoke me, okay? That's what was going on, but you don't take the bait. You do not react. You do not feed the narcissist, okay? You say to yourself, they're trying to cut me up by using sarcasm. You know what? Now I just totally dismiss them. That's what you do. You dismiss them, you walk away, and you don't even say two fucking words, okay? Because you're dealing with a wise-ass covert narcissist who's trying to slight you in a very passive-aggressive type of way, and you're not going to give them that satisfaction by even letting them know that they got to you, okay? And how do I know? I've been through this. I'm surrounded by covert narcissists. I was married to a covert narcissist over 13 years. I've got tons of covert narcissists in my family. I know these people inside out like the back of my hand. I know how they operate, okay? It's a fact. I laugh all the time with my daughter about this. I said, people come to me, they say, oh, how do you know so much about narcissism? I'm like, it's right here. I'm surrounded, okay? We laugh about this all the time because of the toxic people that we have around us, all right? So this is how they try to provoke that reactive abuse with sarcasm. Now, moving along here, okay? Now, all of this that I'm telling you, you guys, is basically the covert narcissist, okay? The other way that they try to provoke reactive abuse is to ignore you, all right? You're sitting there next to them and you ask them a question on the couch and they don't respond, okay? Classic covert narcissist. And so what do? You repeat the question again. You say, what do you want for dinner tonight? And they look at you like, huh? What? Huh? What? Okay? They heard you the first time, but they do that so that you're constantly begging for their attention. Or they ignore you with calls and texts, right? Like you may text them, it says read on it, and then no response. That's them. That's the covert narcissist ignoring you, all right? And that will cause you to react. You're saying to yourself, they read it. Why aren't they responding? Why isn't this person responding to me? Well, it's a control issue. It's a control issue, or they really don't care about you, or they're busy with someone else. Most of the time, it's a control issue. They feel, I'll get back to you when I feel like it. You're unimportant. It's to make you feel like you're not, I don't need to respect you. That's how the covert narcissist is. They feel like, I don't need to respect you, You're not better than me. I get back to you when I feel like it. Well, that will cause you to react and get pissed off and start saying something. And again, what do we get? We get gaslighting, where they say, oh my gosh, look at how you are. I was busy. I was sleeping. Oh my goodness, you make a big deal out of everything. They love to say you make a big deal out of everything. I've heard this. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this, all right? So that's all the ways that they try to, they will provoke you in causing reactive abuse, all right? The other thing too, I'm trying to think what else I'm missing here. The other thing too is the way you handle it is to stay in complete control. And it's not easy. It is not easy when you're dealing with these vipers, all right? Demons, vipers, that's what they are, okay? It's not easy because half the time you just want to knock their head off. But you don't want to give them the satisfaction. Because if you do react, they'll make sure, you guys, that they paint you out to be a mental nut to everybody. And once they do that, your credibility goes out the door. Nobody's going to believe you because they're going to tell half a story or film you or take any texts that you send them that is telling them off, and they're going to show everybody, and they're going to say, you have mental issues, that you make a big deal out of nothing, and it destroys your credibility. This is what happens. It destroys your credibility, and people will not respect you. They will not respect you. I have gone through this, where I dealt with master manipulating covert narcissists that character assassinated me and tarnished my reputation because I'm a truth teller, spoke the truth, and they caused reactive abuse where I reacted, and they painted me out to be a mental case, a nut, because they were threatened by me, because they were afraid I was going to expose them. So they character assassinated me and used whatever my reactions were to make me look bad to everybody else. And guess what? It worked. It worked to a lot of people because these people were so good and so cunning that they knew how to do it to make you look bad and them look squeaky clean and look like the good guy, okay? And why do they do, how are they able to do that? Because they're able to stay in control where you reacted. And that's where you make your mistake. And that's why I'm telling you now, from my prior experiences, you got to be cool, baby. You got to be cool and not react to that narcissist. Don't give them the satisfaction and don't give them any kind of evidence or anything that they could use against you to try to triangulate and bring other people into it to try to destroy you. And this is exactly how they set you up with that reactive abuse. I know it because I've been through it, all right? And it was very, very, it was a lot of damaging experience, all right? So this is what it is. It doesn't matter what comes out of a narcissist's mouth, because anything a narcissist says doesn't mean shit. So whatever they say, who cares? Just walk away and understand that they're trying to bait you. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bait you to get you to react so that they can use it against you. Don't be a sucker. Know the game and don't let them do this to you. You have to disengage, walk away, and say to yourself, I don't care what comes out of their mouth. They're toxic, okay? Not today, Satan. You're not winning today. I'm out, okay? This person's recognize when they're trying to trigger you, okay? Recognize all the games they play, the manipulation tactics, the mind games that they use, the blame shift, the gaslighting, the word salad, the blatant lies. Recognize all of this. Once you recognize that, you recognize you're dealing with toxic, and you say, I don't need to respond to toxic. And if I do respond, I'm feeding the narcissist, and there's nothing to be gained by this except it will hurt me in the long run because they will use whatever reaction I had against me. All right. Woo, I'm on my preach today, you guys. And I'm losing my voice because I got no sleep last night. All right. It's really tough. Okay. So I hope you guys have a great day. And if you like the video or the podcast, please share it. If you're looking for a one-on-one phone coaching, check out the link in the bio at askyaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. Okay. I have limited time because of this other project that is taking so much time, right? And Facebook is The Game EXP 123. Instagram is The Game EXP 123. And YouTube is The Game Exposed Podcast, where everything's laid out on YouTube. I have over almost 7,000 videos. It's all on my YouTube channel. So go to The Game Exposed Podcast on YouTube, and you'll 99% of the time find whatever you're looking for. Also, TikTok, you guys, is The Game Exposed. And have a great day.